All of us here at Temple Emmanuel hope that you had a wonderful and meaningful Passover. This week we get back to our regular cycle of Torah readings with Shmini from the book of Leviticus or Vayikra. Shmini means the eighth, and it starts out by telling us about the eighth day of the consecration, the installation procedures for the Kohanim, the priests of the ancient temple, of course under the leadership of Moses' brother Aaron. But no sooner do the priests get installed than Aaron's two eldest sons commit some sort of an error or crime, and God wipes them out. As we read from the text, Vayikhu v'nei Haron Nadav v'Avihu ish machtato. Aaron's sons, Nadav and Avihu, each took their own fire pan. Vayitnu vahem eish, and they put in them a fire. Vayasimu aleha ketoret, and they put in incense. Vayiktiru lifnei Hashem eish zara, and they caused an incense of a strange or foreign fire to burn before God. Asher lo tzivautam, which they were not commanded to do. A fire comes out from the altar and burns Nadav and Avihu. Aaron is silent in the face of the death of his two sons. Now, it's a fascinating story, and it's an interesting balance between the freedom that we've just achieved through the Exodus in Egypt and then an apparent limitation on that freedom that's placed on two of the highest officials of the Hebrews at that time. The Rabbal Rav Itamar ben Label HaKohen points out to us that Nadav and Avihu's names are not by accident. Taken together, they say Nadav, which is a gift or a free will offering. Those who remember some Yiddish know the phrase a neduva, or a free will, a free gift. Avi, which can mean my father, but can also mean my guiding principle, who it is. So their names taken together mean total free will is my guiding principle. And the death of Nadav and Avihu for bringing a strange, unauthorized fire before God stands in stark contrast to the freedom that the Hebrews had just achieved from leaving Egypt. It points us to the fact that there is a balance in life, that freedom is wonderful and important and in fact necessary, as we'll explain in a moment, but unlimited freedom, unbridled license to do whatever we want, is destructive to ourselves and to our world as well. The 18th century political philosophers whose thoughts helped found the United States all struggled with this question of what is the meaning of freedom and what are the limits to freedom. Now, if we step back for a moment, we understand that the exodus from Sinai is not without purpose. It has a direction. As soon as they leave Egypt, the people are headed towards Sinai. They're headed there to receive the Torah. The Exodus means nothing without receiving the Torah. Once we receive the Torah, not just the 5 books of Moses, but I use now the word Torah in its broadest sense, meaning the totality of Jewish thought and experience and tradition. Once we receive the greater meaning of Torah at Sinai, then we are bound together as one people in a covenantal relationship with God. That covenant means that we have mitzvot, commandments, things that we are to do and things that we're not to do. And what's interesting is as the halacha develops, as Jewish law develops, we learn that mitzvot, commandments that are observed in a condition other than a free condition are not valid. A slave who is commanded to keep kosher gets no credit for keeping kosher. A servant or a prisoner who is ordered by their keeper to observe Shabbat doesn't really quite get credit for observing Shabbat. Likewise, the prisoner or the slave does not get a demerit or is not counted against her or him if, in fact, they are unable to keep the Shabbat or any other mitzvot. Mitzvot, the commandments we received at Sinai, are in fact commandments that are only valid when they are undertaken with the freedom that we have, the freedom that we achieved with God's help by leaving Egypt. But then, in contrast, we have Nadav and Avihu. who think that the freedom means license, and they're quickly and unfortunately and tragically taught otherwise, as are all the people who witnessed their deaths. And so today, right after Pesach, we are now in the period of the Omer, the period of counting up, not counting down, but counting up to Sinai. This period which leads us from the second day of Pesach to the beginning of Shavuot, which this year begins on the evening of Saturday, May 23rd. Shavuot is there as the goal of freedom. The goal of freedom is to receive Torah and to take Torah in all of its facets and meanings with us on the rest of our journeys, the rest of the journey of the Jewish people to the land of Israel and beyond, and also on our personal journeys. And so we hope that as we move through the period of the Omer, each and every one of us is thinking about the freedom we achieved, the Torah that we are headed to receiving in our own lives and historically, and we struggle, each of us, all the time, with that balance between freedom and the mitzvot, which help guide us through the freedom which God has granted us. We hope you have a great rest of the week and a wonderful Shabbat ahead. We look forward to seeing you here at Emmanuel.